Hello, hello everyone. Welcome. Hello, hi everyone. Welcome to a new live stream. How's it going? I hope everything is great. Today we are going to learn about 5 common Spanish phrases. This is episode 18 and oh my god, I cannot believe it. Time flies. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe and also click on the bell icon so you can get notified every time I live stream. Also, I want to give a big shout out to our Cafecito members, Christopher Michael, also Ruby Brockenberry, Brianna L, Gregory Ramirez, Michael Lee, David Beaver, Regulation D, Janko Juan, Roy W, David, and, well, great at work, and Jeremy Height. Thank you guys for the support. El cafecito está bien delicioso. Muchas gracias por el apoyo. Thank you so much for the support. If you want me to give you a shout out, you can also get a membership on this channel. You can click on the join button down below to read more about the perks and the fee, which is less than $3. So essentially you're just buying a cup of coffee for me, buying me a cup of coffee and also supporting this channel. Excellent. Remember that I'm live streaming, so if you have any questions, please use the live chat for that. The only thing you gotta do, I believe you gotta be a subscriber, I think. But yeah, just hit that subscribe button. It helps this channel a lot. Okay, so yeah, let's get started. Let's talk about these 5 phrases that you must know. Episode 18. And these phrases, I would say you can use them very often. You know, they're so commonly used in Spanish. They can be similar to phrasal verbs. And that means that you need to conjugate certain verb. And they're like sentences that, you know, like just phrases that have a verb and then sometimes a preposition, sometimes a short word, but you'll see what I'm talking about in a few seconds. I was gonna say in a few minutes, but no, we're gonna get started right now. So let's talk about the first phrase. This common phrase, let's see what we have. Just let me fix my brush right here. Excellent. And the first phrase is sacar de quicio. Sacar de quicio. Sacar de quicio. This is a longish phrase, and this is a phrase that is used quite often. It's an advanced phrase, of course, and there's simpler ways to say this in Spanish, but this is a very common one. Sacar de quicio. Sacar de quicio. This means to irritate or drive someone crazy. I previously talked about a different phrase that means something similar to this, but this is a different way to say pretty much the same thing. When you feel irritated, when you feel that someone is driving you crazy, you can use this phrase for those specific situations. It happens. So sacar is a verb. Ooh. That's not the color I want. There you go. Sacar. Sacar is a verb and it has quite a few meanings. This is a very common verb that means to take out. Usually it means to take something out or just to remove something. You can use it in different situations. For example, if you need to take out the trash, voy a sacar la basura. I'm going to take out the trash. Also, if you need to remove, as I said before, something, for example, if you need to take a book out of your backpack, for example, saca el libro de la mochila. And yeah, this is a very good verb that we should talk about in the future. But in this situation, well, it's a bit different. It's a bit different. De means from or of, okay? We're not doing literal translation here, but I'm just letting you know the meanings of these words, okay? Quicio. Quicio is a very specific word that it's something similar. It can be part of phrases. It's not like a word that you can use by itself, but it usually refers to, in this particular situation, that you're pretty much going crazy because you feel really irritated by something or somebody. Okay, so quicio is more like part of this phrase, and it could refer to other things. It could be a noun, but it's a technical word, that when you're referring to a part of a door or a window frame, we're not talking about that right now. So we're just talking about this phrase, sacar de quicio, to irritate or drive someone crazy. Now let's look at some examples using this phrase. In Spanish, it's not that difficult. You obviously need to know the conjugation of the verb sacar. Yo saco, tú sacas, él saca, okay, and so on. There's so many tenses. Okay, so the first example is su actitud arrogante me saca de quicio. Su actitud arrogante me saca de quicio. This means his arrogant attitude irritates me or drives me crazy. Okay? So, let's break this down. Let's see how sacar de quicio, which is right here, works in this sentence. Let's see how it works. So, su means his or her. It can mean either one. It depends. Of course, if you want to be more specific, you will be probably talking about the person before you're saying his attitude or her attitude. So it's all about context. In this situation, it means his, okay? Because we're talking about a dude, a person, a male. So su means his. Actitud means attitude. It's very similar. Actitud, attitude. They almost have the same spelling, but obviously their pronunciation is completely different, but they're a little similar. Actitud, by the way, this is a noun and it's a feminine noun. La actitud, okay? La actitud. We don't need la because we're saying his, right? His attitude, his su actitud, okay? Arrogante, this is an adjective and it means arrogant. Man, this word is very similar to the one in English. You just need to add an E at the end and there you have it. Arrogante, arrogante. Don't forget the R sound. R, arrogante. Me is a reflexive pronoun and it means me. It can mean I. For example, when I say me gusta la pizza, I like pizza, okay? So in this situation, me means me, okay? Saca de quicio. We have the verb sacar conjugated for the personal pronoun él él as in he, okay, the person who is driving you driving you crazy. But saca, that's conjugated. The quicio stays the same. You don't have to do anything to the rest of the phrase. Su actitud, by the way, saca de quicio in this situation means irritates or drives me crazy. Okay? So, su actitud arrogante me saca de quicio. Interesting, very interesting. Let's look at another example using this phrase. El tráfico pesado en la ciudad me saca de quicio. El tráfico pesado en la ciudad me saca de quicio. This means the heavy traffic in the city drives me crazy. El tráfico pesado en la ciudad me saca de quicio. Interesting. Let's look at how this sentence works. El means the, or the. When it has an accent mark on top of the letter E, it means he. But it doesn't have it. So it means the. Tráfico. So you can see that there's a strong intonation at the beginning. Tráfico. And remember the accent mark, la tilde. Tráfico means traffic. Very similar. This one is very similar to the Spanish one. Pesado is an adjective and it means heavy. Okay? And as I said before, many in the past, and has quite a few meanings. It means in, on, and also at. So it's a good one. It's a good preposition. The ciudad means city. And then we have the rest. Well, we have me, which means me, reflexive pronoun, and then the rest, which is the phrase we're learning. Saca de quicio. Drive crazy. Drive me crazy because we added me. So something important to note here is that you can use reflexive pronouns with this phrase. You can say me saca de quicio, te saca de quicio, nos saca de quicio, les saca de quicio. Okay, so you can use reflexive pronouns with this phrase. Keep that in mind. And remember, sacar de quicio means to irritate or drive someone crazy. Now, do you guys have any questions? Any questions about this phrase? Okay, let's move on. Let's continue. Let's look at the next phrase. Frase número 2, phrase number 2, and let's see what we have. Acabar con. This is another phrasal verb. It's a phrasal verb that is quite useful because it can be used when you are putting an end to something. It also means to finish something. Okay, you can say acabé con la tarea. I finished my homework. Okay, you can say that. You can say that, but in some situations, acabar con means to put an end to something. Okay, we could be talking about problems, difficult situations, something that you or other people want to end, for example, I don't know, you any problem that you can think of, it can work. You can use this phrase for that specific situation if you want to say to put an end to something. For example, acabemos con la corrupción. Acabemos con la corrupción. So this is a more advanced phrase. Obviously, it can be used in simple situations, basic situations, as I told you before. But if you want to talk about something more complicated in Spanish, you can use this phrase in those situations as well. Specifically, when you want to put an end to something. This means let's put an end to corruption. Okay, so interesting phrase, and let's break it down. Let's see how it works. Acabemos. This, by the way, this is an interesting thing in Spanish. When you want to say let's do something, you can use acabemos, this conjugation specifically. By the way, if you want to use this phrase, you need to know the conjugation of the verb acabar. Acabar means to finish, as I said, by itself. It means to finish, to end something, or complete something. For example, when you finish a task, when you end an event, when you complete, reading a book or complete something. Okay, so this is another good verb to learn in Spanish. When you say acabemos con, it means let's put an end to something. Okay, acabemos con ... Let's put an end to something. So in this situation, we're talking about the noun corruption. Corrupción is a noun and it's feminine. It's not el corrupción, even though it kind of looks like a masculine noun. It's not a masculine noun. It is a feminine noun, and you need to use la. Okay, if you want to say the corruption or just corruption in Spanish. So, acabemos con la corrupción. Let's put an end to corruption. Even though there isn't a de here, the corruption, in Spanish, when you are saying let's put an end to, it's common to say or place a definite article, la, el, and los, las as well. So just keep that in mind. Acabemos con la corrupción. Acabemos con la pobreza. Acabemos con, la crisis. I'm trying to think of a masculine noun here. But you get what I'm saying. You will likely need a definite article when you use acabemos con or acabar con. If it's very likely that you will need a noun after saying acabemos con, and then you can place a noun. But remember to use a definite article. La, el, los, las. Okay, so keep that in mind. Sometimes you need them in Spanish, sometimes you don't. So it's good to pay attention to those little details. When using certain phrasal verbs, you can see that you need an article there. this article, right? You need it. If you say acabemos con corrupción, it doesn't make sense. It sounds incomplete. People can understand what you're saying, but it sounds incomplete. Acabemos con la corrupción. Let's put an end to corruption. Okay? Interesante, muy interesante. Now, the next example, let's look at the next example. Él prometió acabar con el problema. Él prometió acabar con el problema. Okay? This means he promised to put an end to the problem. Okay? Let's break it down. Let's see how it works. We have two él and él, this one and this one. The difference is one has an accent mark, the other one doesn't. The one that has an accent mark, él, same pronunciation by the way, él, with or without the accent mark, same thing, same pronunciation. The meaning changes though. Él means he, and the other él means the or they. Okay, so remember that. That's an important difference. And él means he, prometió. This comes from the verb prometer, which means to promise. Él prometió, perfect tense, past tense, and that means promised. Acabar con, sorry, that's the phrase we're learning right now, and that means to put an end to. Okay, or put an end to. Él prometió that. He promised to do something. What is that something? Acabar con, put an end to, el problema. The problema, problem. Remember, problema is masculine. It's a masculine noun and it means problem, right? Because as a lot of people think, oh, every single noun, Spanish noun that ends in A is feminine. And sometimes it's not. And this is a clear example. El problema, the problem, or just problem. Okay? So, interesting. When you have, by the way, when you have two verbs in a sentence, one right after another, you conjugate the first one and the second one you don't. You use the infinitive form. Okay? So just remember that. It's something, little details that matter. So if you want to use two verbs, you can, but you need to conjugate the first one, and the second one, you don't need to do that. Okay? So remember, acabar con means to put an end to something. Okay? Excellent. Do you guys have any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Hello, Flinkabus. Sugar Life. It's been a long time. Well, welcome, Flinkabus. It's good to see you here. Thank you for stopping by, and bienvenido or bienvenida. And yeah, it's good to see you. Es bueno verte. Es bueno leerte. It's good to read you. Excellent. So let's move on. Let's talk about another phrase. Frase número 3. phrase number 3. Poner manos a la obra. Poner manos a la obra. Poner manos a la obra. What does this mean? What does this mean? Poner, by the way, is another great verb that means to put or to place. You can use it in different situations, of course. I'm talking about this verb, poner. This one right here. So yeah, if you want to say to put or to place something in Spanish, you can use this verb, poner. Yo pongo, tú pones, él pone, nosotros ponemos. Also, if you want to say to set up or install something, for example, poner una tienda de campaña, to set up a tent, okay? Or when you want to also switch something on or start something. It's a very versatile verb. You can say, pon la televisión. Just turn on the TV. So also it means to turn on in some situations. I believe I have a video about this verb specifically, but it's a very, very good verb that you must know if you're serious about Spanish. Manos, hands. So it sounds like we need to put our hands somewhere, right? To place our hands somewhere. Is that the real meaning of this phrase? A means to, la, the, and obra has quite a few meanings. Obra. You can use it, for example, if you are referring to a work of art or literature. It refers to just a creation, such a book, painting, sculpture, play, or musical composition. But if you say, for example, obra de arte, masterpiece, so that's what you're saying. So this obra, this word, can be used in different situations. Also, you can use it in construction or when building something, like obra refers to the whole construction that is happening. So it's a very interesting word as well. Obra means also deed or action. It refers to a deed or action. So this is a very versatile word that we should be talking about in the future. But are we saying, should we put our hands on some masterpiece, on something that is, I don't know, like this phrase makes no sense if you translate it word by word. But the meaning of this phrase is to get to work. It means to get to work. Can you believe it? How is that phrase means to get to work? So if you are, if you want to say to people, hey, let's get to work, you can say it in a simpler way in Spanish. Vamos a trabajar, for example. But this is a more advanced way to say, hey, let's get to work. So let's look at some examples using this peculiar phrase. Tenemos mucho que hacer. Tenemos mucho que hacer. Así que es hora de poner manos a la obra. This is a very good phrase. Tenemos mucho que hacer. Así que es hora de poner manos a la obra. What does this mean? This means we have a lot to do. So it's time to get to work. Okay, it's time to get to work. Let's do something. Let's work together. That's what we're saying here. We have to do something. We need to get to work. Whatever the reason is, we could be talking about people working on a project. We could be talking about people planning to, planning an event or something, or people at work. So this is a really great sentence that means that we just have to get to work. Now, let's break this down. Let's see what this whole thing means and how it works. Tenemos, nosotros tenemos. We don't need nosotros. We need tenemos, and this is a verb. It comes from the verb tener, which means to have. So tenemos, when you say tenemos, that means we have. Okay? Mucho means much, many, a lot. Okay? So in this situation, it means a lot. ¿Qué hacer? When you say ¿qué hacer? Means, like you have to do a lot. You have a lot to do in this situation. I know that que means what and that in certain situations, but when you say tengo mucho que hacer or tenemos mucho que hacer, that is a whole phrase by itself, and it means we have a lot to do, or we have to do a lot. either one. So you can use this phrase, tener mucho que hacer, and that means to have a lot to do. So remember that. Hacer is another great verb that means to make or to do. Así que, let's include que as well. This phrase here, así que means so. Did you know that? Así que, so. That is quite interesting. Así que. So just remember this phrase because it's very useful in Spanish if you want to connect one sentence, with another. You need these peculiar, specific phrases, little phrases that help you do that. So it's similar to a conjunction. So así que means so. Es hora. This is another great phrase that means it's time. Es hora de, and let's include de as well. Es hora de estudiar. It's time to study. Es hora de comer. It's time to eat. Es hora de trabajar. It's time to work. So es hora, even though hora means hour, essentially you're saying it's hour. H-O-U-R, hour. But in English, you have time. It's time. Es hora is used in Spanish, and it's similar to saying it's time. You can also say tiempo. Es tiempo. Tiempo means time. But both phrases, es hora and es tiempo, and include de. Es hora de. Es tiempo de. Both mean the same thing. It's time to do something. Okay? It's time to do something. And usually, after saying es hora de, you put a verb right after in the infinitive form, so don't conjugate it. Poner, comer, ir, trabajar, estudiar, armar, reír, okay? So poner in this situation, well, it's not conjugated and because we're saying es hora de, okay? Poner manos a la obra. So this is the phrase we're learning. Poner manos a la obra, get to work. Okay, so that's the meaning of this sentence. That's how it works. So many, like a few, I would say 1, 2, 3 good phrases. 3 good phrases that you can use, plus, poner manos a la obra, which means to get to work. Excellent. Let's look at another example using this phrase. I always do that. So many layers. I have here on my end so many layers. It's fun. Hay que poner manos a la obra. Hay que poner manos a la obra. Hay que poner manos a la obra. You can learn this phrase, this sentence right here, and you can use it. You can use it in the situation, in a specific situation where you want to say, we need to get to work. We need to get to work. Hay que poner manos a la obra. If you say this in Spanish, you're going to sound really advanced, really fluent, because this is an advanced phrase. Hay que poner manos a la obra. Okay? So, let's break it down. It's very easy. It's not that complicated. I means quite a few things, but when you say hay que, that means we need to do something. Hay que. So this is just a phrase that refers to an action. You need to do something. You're saying this to one person, or you're saying this to a group of people. Okay, so this is very useful if you want to say we need to do something. Hay que comer, we need to eat. Hay que trabajar, we need to work. Hay que estudiar, we need to study. So this is a very good phrase that you must learn as well. And then what happens? You can put a verb right after hay que. And the verb is in the infinitive form, so don't conjugate it. And we have right here, poner manos a la obra. So this is the phrase that we're learning, and it means get to work. Hay que poner manos a la obra. We need to get to work. Okay? Excellent. This is a good one for sure. Poner manos a la obra. Once more, it means to get to work. Excellent. That's awesome. Do you guys have any questions? Would you say this phrase is regional or used everywhere? Honestly, I think it is used in quite a few countries. I cannot tell you specifically which ones. Let me see if I can find it, or if I can find something about it really quickly. Let's see if I can find any information about that. Okay. Interesting. So the phrase poner manos a la obra is widely used in it's an idiom, and it's obviously a phrase, an important phrase, and it's used in many Spanish-speaking countries. And you know the meaning. So it's used in Spain. So the phrase is often used to motivate oneself or others. So that's true. This is a very positive phrase when you want to motivate others to get to work. So it's used in Spain, it's used in Mexico, it's used in Argentina, and also in Colombia. So this is a phrase that can be used in different Spanish speaking countries. This is very interesting, and thank you so much for asking that. Flinkibus. Thank you. So now you know it can be used in quite a few countries. Also, would tenemos que poner manos a la obra be the same or less natural? Tenemos que poner manos a la obra. You can also say that it sounds natural. You can say hay que or tenemos que. Either one works perfectly fine. Tenemos que is also a very good phrase that means we have to do something. Hay que is similar to saying we need to do something. You can also say necesitamos que, which means literally we need to do something. Necesitamos hacer algo. We need to do something. That's what you can say as well. Just replace hacer algo with, for example, poner manos a la obra. Necesitamos poner manos a la obra. We need to get to work. Let me just put it here. You can say tenemos que poner manos a la obra. This is similar to saying we have to get to work. We have to get to work. Or necesitamos poner manos a la obra, and that means we need. That's another way to say we need to get to work. Okay, so you have options. You have many options here, and you can say either one, and it's natural. It's natural. You're welcome. Greenie King, hola Greenie King, how are you? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Todo bien? ¿Todo bien? Espero que sí. Bienvenido. Thank you for the questions. That was great. Good questions. Okay, let's continue. Now let's talk about phrase number 4. Phrase number 4, let's see what we have here. Frase número 4. Oh, this is a long one because the font is smaller. Quedar bien or quedar mal con. Quedar bien or quedar mal con. So this is like 2 in 1. two phrases in one. But quedar, you can say quedar bien and include con. Quedar bien con, or the opposite, quedar mal con. What does this mean? What does this mean? Quedar is another common Spanish verb that means quite a few things. Quedar can mean to stay or remain, to be left as well, to agree to meet someone, to fit, for example, when you're talking about clothing or shoes, something like that. Also, when you want to talk about a result, or when something or someone ends up, for example, when someone ends up in a certain state after some situation. So it's quite it's quite a verb. It has quite a few meanings, quedar, quedar. But the basic meaning is to stay or to remain. And I believe I talked about this verb before, but it's a good one. It's a good one. So what is the meaning of quedar bien or quedar mal con? The meaning is to make a good or bad impression on. Okay? To make a good or bad impression on. By the way, bien means good, mal means bad, con means with. It's not a literal translation for sure, because quedar literally doesn't mean to make. Hacer means to make in Spanish. But we're talking about a phrase. We're talking about a phrase here. Quedar bien or quedar mal con means to make a good or bad impression on. For example, estás tratando de quedar bien conmigo. Estás tratando de quedar bien conmigo. This means, are you trying to make a good impression on me? Maybe someone is extra nice with you for some reason. And you can ask, hey, ¿estás tratando de quedar bien conmigo? Are you trying to make a good impression on me? Let's break this down. Let's see how this question works. Estás comes from the verb estar, which means to be. So we don't need to say tú estás, which means you are or are you. We don't need personal pronouns at the beginning of questions. Okay? It's no. You don't say yo estoy tratando de quedar bien contigo, or tú estás tratando de quedar bien conmigo. You could say that, but it doesn't make, it sounds odd. It sounds odd. And as I said before, we don't say personal pronouns all the time. And you can see that here in this question. Estás just by itself in a question means are you. ¿Estás bien? Are you okay? ¿Estás cansado? Are you tired? ¿Estás trabajando? Are you working? Okay, so just remember that because it's very, very important. Now, tratando de, when you say this, by the way, tratando comes from the verb tratar, which means to try, okay? When you're trying to do something. So when you use tratar de, include de, it means it's similar to saying to try to do something, okay? Tratando de, that means trying to, okay? Tratando is the gerund of the verb tratar. Tratando de, trying to. Quedar bien, this is what we're learning right now. And it means make a good impression on. Okay? Now, I know that I said you need to include this. And we have it. We have it right here. When you want to say on me in this situation, is similar to saying conmigo. Conmigo. It becomes one word in Spanish. Conmigo can also mean with me, or in this situation, on me. Okay? So, conmigo, we have con, but conmigo means on me. in this situation. You can say, ¿vienes conmigo? Are you coming with me? Puedo, there's like different, conmigo, contigo. Those are with you or with me. Contigo, conmigo. So we can talk about those words in the future. But in this situation, conmigo means on me. Okay? It also means with me, conmigo. Remember that. Remember that. Excellent. You can even change this, for example, con él. Oops. ¿Estás tratando de quedar bien con él? Are you trying to make a good impression on him? Okay. So you can use conmigo, on me, con él, on him, con ella, on her. Okay. Even though, ella means she, él means he. Remember, Spanish is a different language. Okay. You cannot translate word by word. So, ¿estás tratando de quedar bien con ella? Are you trying to make a good impression on her? Okay. So, you see con here. Con is right there. But you can see it better when you have other personal pronouns. But if you want to say on me, then it's conmigo. It's not con yo. Don't you do this. No, that's wrong. That's wrong. You need to say conmigo. On me. In this situation. Okay? So just remember that. And you will never say con yo anyways. If you want to say with me or on me, you can use conmigo in most situations. Okay? So just remember that. Now, let's look at another example using this phrase. Llegó tarde y quedó mal con sus amigos. Llegó tarde y quedó mal con sus amigos. This means he arrived or got late and made a bad impression on his friends. Or, it could be anybody, because your friends, you don't have to impress your friends, I guess. We can put here con el jefe. On his boss. Or it could be on his, well, if you want to be more specific, con su jefe. Okay? This is a very interesting situation. Like when you get somewhere late, man, or when you're late, that can, the person who's waiting for you can get upset, right? If you're not punctual. But let's break this down and let's see how this sentence works. Llegó, pretty tense. You can see that because of the accent mark, la tilde, el acento there. Llegó, él llegó. You can say él llegó. Drop el. If you don't have to use it, you can just say llegó. And when you say llegar tarde or llegó tarde, that means he arrived late, or he is late, or he was late. In this situation, present tense, past tense. So it's similar to saying he was late. Okay, he was late. Oh my goodness. Y means and. Quedó mal con. That's the phrase we're learning right now. Quedó mal con. Quedó, perfect tense, right? Quedó, the verb quedar in past tense, perfect tense. And that means made a bad impression on. Su means his. Jefe, you know this one. Jefe means boss. Llegó tarde y quedó mal con su jefe. He was late. He arrived late and made a bad impression on his boss. You're fired. Because you're late. Oh, that happens, huh? That happens. So, watch out. You gotta be on time. But remember, quedar bien means to make a good impression. And remember, con, which similar in this situation means on, okay? To make a good impression on someone. And quedar mal means to make a bad impression on. You know what I'm saying, right? You know what I'm saying. Remember that. Do you guys have any questions? Any questions? That was phrase number 4, frase número 4. Okay. Evan, hello, welcome. Ayer en el trabajo, al principio del día, le dije a un colega guanaco. What is guanaco? Guanaco, manos a la obra, y él se rió. No soy latino. Manos a la obra. It's a good phrase. What is guanaco? I haven't heard that one. Define guanaco. Let's see what this means. Guanaco is not. It's not a Spanish word. It's not. Oh, guanaco is a South American animal related to the llama and alpaca. It's a wild animal in South America. Okay, I didn't know. I didn't know. Interesting. Thank you, Evan Smith, for the $4, for almost $5. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for doing that. Thank you. Let's go. Perfecto. Okay. Evan, quedarse bien también se usa, one sec. Quedarse bien también se usa para hablar de ropa, como esta camisa no me queda bien. This shirt doesn't suit me or look good on me. Yeah. Yes, you're right. You can do that. You can use that phrase, quedar bien, quedar mal, when you're trying something on and it looks good or bad on you. So yeah, you used it perfectly. Good job. René, a mí me encantan las lecciones. Thank you so much. Gracias. Pregunta, en la lección sobre echar un vistazo, le no es importante. Siempre lo veo con le. Échale un vistazo. Well, that is le is it's important. And echarle un vistazo, it's like just saying, hey, look at that. Le refers to, that. Echa un vistazo. You can say echa un vistazo, but then it sounds a bit incomplete. And le, remember, le can mean him, her, It also refers to you, formal. Okay. Le envío un correo electrónico. I'm sending you an email. Okay. And also refers to, in that particular situation, échale un vistazo. That means, hey, look at that. Take a look at that. Okay. So it is important. It is important. If you want to say that, look at that. Gracias por todas tus lecciones. Thank you so much, Evan. Thank you so much. Salvadoreño, un apodo de ellos. I see. Guanaco. Okay. I understand now. That's a good one. That's a good one. Thank you for sharing. Cada gente de los países de Centroamérica tiene su propio apodo. Su propio apodo. Yeah, that's a common thing to have nicknames. In Spanish. Some people like nicknames, some don't. So use with caution. If you hear someone being comfortable, if I don't know, if someone says guanaco to someone and you hear guanaco and guanaco multiple times and the person doesn't care, or the person is like, oh yeah, I like that nickname, then you can use it. But if you start saying nicknames left and right, I think that you need to be careful with that. That's what I wanted to say. Just be careful, because some people like nicknames, getting something like nicknames, pet names and whatnot, but some don't. For example, when you're dating someone in Latin America, in Spain, when you're dating someone from those countries, you use pet names, you use like certain words to refer to your significant other, and one of them is gorda, gordo, and that means fat. You're just calling someone fat. Some don't care and even like those nicknames or that specific one, but some don't. So you just gotta be really careful. And just you need to feel comfortable enough with the person to do those kinds of things, right? So in your situation, I see that you might be friends with this person, so it's fine if you're friends with someone and they have a nickname and they like it. Well, of course you can use it as well. Yeah. René, gracias. Solo porque no mencionaste le en la lección. Well, it depends what you want to say. Sometimes you say le, sometimes you don't say le. It depends what you want to say. Right? So, yeah, just, I have so many lessons on my channel. So it depends what you want to say. Okay? I can say, I don't know. I could say, take a look at, what was it? Echar un vistazo. Didn't I use it? Let me just take a look, because take a look. And we're going to talk about the last phrase, by the way. Take a look at, to take a look, was it? Yeah. Let me see. One second. Eché un vistazo a la revista. Eché un vistazo. I took, yeah, okay. Puedes echar un vistazo. Yeah. If you say, eché un vistazo a la revista, you can say, le eché un vistazo a la revista, or eché un vistazo a la revista, because I'm being specific. I'm talking about the magazine, right? Puedes echar un vistazo a los documentos. You can say also puedes echarle un vistazo. It's just, you can say it in two different ways. You can say echarle un vistazo or echar un vistazo. If you don't say anything specific, then echarle makes more sense. But if you're specific, for example, puedes echar un vistazo a los documentos. Can you take a look at the documents? That's fine. There's no problem with that. There's no problem with that. But thank you for asking that. Now you know. You can say echarle un vistazo or echar un vistazo. Yeah. Okay, let's continue. Last phrase. Let's see what we have. Remember, you can say the same thing in different ways in Spanish. That's what I like about Spanish. You can be very flexible with the language, you know. There's a lot of, I think it's because there's so many countries, many Spanish-speaking countries, and they have, you know, they modify the language day by day or years, you know, like in a year you can get different idioms, different ways to express yourself, just as in English as well. But, you know, you can sometimes say echarle un vistazo. You can even say echar ojo. Echar ojo is another way to say the same thing. Look at this. Échale un ojo. Échale un ojo a eso. Or a mis hijos. You know, just could mean keep an eye on my kids, or keep an eye on, or look at, for example, échale un ojo a mi proyecto, or hay que echar un ojo, el ojo, a mi proyecto. That means you just have to take a look at your project, or you're asking someone to take a look at a project. So it's flexible. It's flexible. That's what I wanted to say. Anyways, last phrase, last one. Llegar tarde. This is a very, very basic one. This is not complicated. Llegar tarde. We even talked about this phrase a few minutes ago. Llegar tarde means to be late. Okay, so this is a basic phrase that can help you say if someone is late, if you're late, if you will be late, or someone will be late. So it's a good, really good phrase to add to your vocabulary. So llegar, let's talk about the verb llegar. Do you know what it means? Llegar means to arrive, or you can use it, for example, if you're arriving at a place, you can use this, or when you get to a place. We're talking about just arriving, right? Or also when you, it can be used in more difficult situations, more advanced situations. For example, if you reach a certain point or state, for example, an agreement, to reach an agreement, llegar a un acuerdo. And so it's a common verb, but the most basic meaning is to get to a place or to arrive at a place. Okay, so this is a very good verb. Tarde means late, or it means afternoon. So buenas tardes. I know you're saying tardes, but it's, again, you're gonna think of phrases, not words. Buenas tardes means good afternoon. Even essentially you're saying good afternoons, tardes, right, plural, but it means good afternoon. Tarde, qué bonita tarde, what a beautiful afternoon. Okay, so tarde means late and also afternoon. Llegar tarde, the whole phrase, means to be late. Let's look at some examples using this phrase. No quiero llegar tarde. No quiero llegar tarde al trabajo. No quiero llegar tarde al trabajo. This means I don't want to be late to work. This is a good phrase. This is a good sentence. Let's break it down. No by itself means no. But when you add a verb right after, conjugated, it means a bunch of things. It can mean don't, will not, depends on the tense, right? Will, won't, don't, didn't. So no is a very good word. And when you say no quiero, that by itself means I don't want to. No quiero. No quiero. I don't want to. Or I don't want something, right? But when it's part of a sentence, well, it's pretty much the same meaning, but you're adding more to it. I don't want to do something, right? No quiero. No quiero. I don't want to do something. If you add a verb right after, then you're going to add it in the infinitive form. Don't conjugate it. So, no quiero llegar. No quiero trabajar. No quiero estudiar. No quiero comer. Okay, so you can use a verb right after no quiero. And llegar tarde is the phrase we're learning. And it means be late. Llegar tarde. Al technically is two words. A él. But we don't have that in Spanish. We have al. So if you're tempted to say a él, don't. Just say al. Okay? And a él means to thee. To thee. But here in English, we just have to. But essentially, you're saying to the work in Spanish. That's the literal translation. But you know, English and Spanish are different languages. Trabajo means work or also job. Tengo un trabajo muy bueno. I have a really good job. Okay? Or voy al trabajo. I'm going to work. So remember that is a good word as well. No quiero llegar tarde al trabajo. I don't want to be late to work. Now, let's look at the next and final example. The last one. No llegues tarde. No llegues tarde. No llegues tarde. This is a good sentence, and it means don't be late. So if you want to tell someone, hey, don't be late. Don't be late. No llegues tarde. Okay, this is informal, by the way. And you would say this to your friend, to someone you're comfortable with, right? You would not say this to your boss or someone you don't know. So it makes sense to have it informal. And we can tell that it's informal because of the conjugation of the verb. If you want to make it formal, you can say no llegue. That's formal. No llegue tarde. You could add por favor, please. Don't be late, please. But let's keep it informal. That's fine. It's good. We are among friends here. So, no means, you say, it means don't. Why? Because we have a verb. We're not saying it by itself. No. We're saying don't, right? So in this situation, no means don't. don't. Llegues, and we have the phrase here. Llegues tarde. Tú llegues tarde. We don't need tú. We can drop the personal pronoun and just say llegues tarde. Be late. No llegues tarde. Don't be late. Okay. You can also say llegaste tarde. Llegaste tarde. Llegaste tarde. That means you're late. Llegaste tarde. You're late. So that's another good one for sure. But remember, this term is great. It's good. It's useful. Llegar tarde means to be late. Okay? The opposite is temprano. Llegar temprano. Oops. You're not seeing the whole thing. Oops, that's worse. Llegar temprano means to be early. To be somewhere early. Okay? Llegaste temprano. That's the opposite. Llegaste temprano. You're early. Llegaste temprano. You're early. So that's the opposite. Temprano is early. Tarde is late. So keep that in mind. Now you know two different phrases. Llegar tarde, llegar temprano. Excellent, excellent. Do you guys have any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Let's see. Gracias por la advertencia. Pero con los centroamericanos he visto que se refiere con estos apodos con orgullo. Ellos se sorprenden mucho cuando sepan que sé estos nombres y se ríen con sonrisas. Okay, so you're saying, thank you, Evan, for sharing. Yeah, that's good. That's good. There's a lot of, for example, I know in Argentina, they say che a lot. So that's like, I would not call it a nickname, but it's just a word they use when, talking to someone. Che this, che that. I know some like that. Some say, be careful. You cannot say che just out of the blue like that if you don't know the person. So it's good. It's true. Every country has their own words that they use to, when talking to someone. And it's good to know that, and we're from Guatemala, right? Guatemalteco, Chapín, Salvadoreño, Guanaco, Hondureño. Oh, okay. So you're sharing. Okay. So in Guatemala, some common words are Chapín. In Salvador, Guanaco. In Honduras, Catracho. Nicaragüense, in Nicaragua, Piñonero, Piñonico. Wow, that's very interesting. The people from Costa Rica, Costarricense, Tico, yeah. Tico, I've heard that one before. Pura vida. Don't they say also pura vida in Costa Rica? Pura vida. Was that? Let me make sure of that. Pura vida. Costa Rica. Yeah, Costa Rica. From Costa Rica. So in Costa Rica, You can say pura vida, and that is a very good phrase. It's almost like saying hello, but it means pure life. It's used in different contexts. So it can mean, instead of saying hello, hola, you can say pura vida. Or if you want to say goodbye, you can also say pura vida. Or when everything is great, pura vida. Right? So that's a very nice phrase, pura vida. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Thank you for sharing, Evan. Thank you so much. Panama canalero. Canalero. Really? That's an interesting one. Thank you for sharing. Cuando eran principiante, dije, no quiero estar tarde. No quiero estar. Yeah. Palabra a palabra, inglés al español. Yeah. So you translated word by word. Yeah. No quiero llegar tarde. You could have said llegar tarde. Yeah. Estar. I know that's the literal translation of I don't want to be late. Yeah. Yeah, it happens. It happens. That's why it's good to talk about these phrases, and I enjoy talking about these phrases because it's so important. If you want to sound more natural in Spanish, if you want to sound fluent, if you want to understand what the other person is saying to you, it's important to know these things. It is very important. Quedó mal, Lindsay, quedó mal con mi perrito cuando llego tarde a casa del trabajo. Exactly. Your dog is probably like, where were you? Where were you? I've been waiting for you. Te he estado esperando. Yeah, that's a good example. Thank you, Lindsay. Pinolero, el autocorrect cambió la palabra. Sí, los ticos dicen pura vida. Pura vida, pura vida. Los salvadoreños suelen decir soy guanaco, en vez de decir soy salvadoreño. Wow. Really? That's interesting. Man, thank you for sharing, Evan. That's good. That's good to know. It's good to learn those things. It's good to learn about the culture. Yeah, for sure. Okay. So, that's it, guys. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching this stream. Remember that I do this every week. So if you don't want to miss out my streams, you can click on the bell icon next to the subscribe button and turn all the notifications on so YouTube lets you know every time I live stream. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, I have Discord server, which is essentially a Spanish community. So if you want to join, you can do it for free. You can find the link in the description down below. Also, if you like this lesson, please give it a like. It helps me a lot. And have a lovely evening. Buenas noches. Que tengan una bonita noche. Muchas gracias por ver el en vivo. Thank you so much for watching this stream. And I'll see you next time. Los veo a la próxima. Adiós. Hasta la vista. Bye.